looking at Rwanda now, and the 1994 genocide will always mar the country's history, but Rwanda has moved forward since those dark days, both politically and economically. It's been growing fast for well over a decade, and it's predicted to keep booming. Fidelis Mbah takes a look at what is making the country tick.
Rwanda has a past that cannot be forgotten, but it's now trying to write its own future by positioning itself as a major economic force in Africa. President Paul Kagame is commonly described as a strong leader. Many people here say he's controversial, but gets the job done. In recent years, he's steered the country to economic success, and Rwanda now has one of the fastest growing economies in sub-Saharan Africa. Rwanda recorded an average annual GDP growth of around 8% between 2001 and 2014. That growth is being driven by construction, agriculture, manufacturing, and mining. The country now produces some of the highest quality coffee in the world, and it's sought after by major global brands. Rwanda sold 22,000 tons of coffee, earning it more than $60 million in 2015. It's also aiming to have a knowledge-based economy by 2020, and has now become a reference point for other African countries. A large chunk of government revenues still comes from overseas aid. About 83% of Rwanda's 12 million people live in rural areas, and more than 70% still work in subsistence farming. So despite its recent economic success, it still faces big challenges. Fidelis Mbah, TLT World.
Well, I'm joined now by François Kanimba. He is the Trade and Industry Minister for Rwanda. Thank you very much for joining us on Money Talks.
Thank you too.
So we've seen in the report just then that Rwanda has been an incredible economic success over the past decade and more.
Sure.
What has been the most important reason behind that success?
Two things. First of all, a very robust governance system where since the end of the 94 genocide, the new Rwandan government has really focused its vision around the citizen and the establishing of a friendly environment to attract private businesses. That's one. Secondly, it's the focus on private sector to make sure that the economy is mainly led by private investment, government doing its role in terms of how the government create an environment to encourage and to attract businesses. Yeah.
Let me ask you about the president now, Paul Kagame. The West, the United States and European countries are suggesting that really after 2 terms he ought to step down. But of course there was a referendum and overwhelmingly people supported him having a 3rd term. Are you concerned that your partners in the West might apply sanctions in the future or wish to do less trade with Rwanda in the future?
We have no concern at all.
Have they threatened
maintaining President Kagame was a decision by the Rwandan people.
Yes.
And I don't think anyone all over the world has the right to require that Rwandan people should not make their choice.
And have they made any threats or pressured you in any way? Has the West, the United States, Germany, France, have they made any...
Yes, they do through national media, but we don't care about that.
Okay. Are you concerned that running for a 3rd term might disturb Rwanda's reputation with international investors, for example, or is his standing so strong in the country that actually they'll be pleased to see the stability? I
have no such impression. On the contrary, actually, serious investors are very concerned about maintaining a stable country, and when they learn that the Rwandan people would like to maintain their president, they feel more comfortable because the stability of the country is what matters for them.
Now, an IMF team was in your country a couple of days ago. They met with you. Do you find the IMF a hindrance or a help?
A very good help. A very strong help, actually, one of the very strong partners of Rwanda. And if you got a chance to read their report, currently they are impressed by how Rwanda is resilient to the global economic slowdown.
Yes, I mean, they're expecting Rwanda's economy to grow by more than 6% again.
6.5%, that's their estimate, but we strongly believe it will be even higher than that.
Well, they do mention, don't they, that Rwanda's government spending is somewhat reliant on foreign aid and that is paring back a little. Does that concern you?
No, you know, Rwanda is a developing country like other developing countries. We still get some aid from the global community. But what matters is the way the country is more and more relying on its own resources. 10 years ago, the Rwandan budget was probably funded by more than 50% by the donor aid. But now, the Rwandan budget is funded by national resources for more than 60%.
Okay, you want to move the economy towards a more knowledge-based economy by 2020. Do you think that's possible?
Actually, the process is underway. Actually, we've gone far away in that direction, and our vision, which roughly is targeting to upgrade Rwanda from a least developed countries to a middle income status. One of the key pillars for that is focusing on science, technology, information and communication technology, and universal education. So we've gone, when you look to the education indicators in Rwanda, how they have been developing in the last decade, there is no doubt that Rwanda is transforming in a real science and education knowledge economy.
Okay, François Kanimba, Rwanda's Trade and Industry Minister, thank you very much for joining us on Money Talk.
Thank you, sir.